Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today. This is Aaron Sachs with Hanwha Techman America. And today we're going to talk about our new product introduction of the Wisenet A series. You should see my screen being shared. If you don't, let me know in the chat section. The webinar is being recorded. It will be available for replay along with the PDF materials that you'll see here today. You can go to our website under training and webinars to view upcoming webinars and to view past recorded webinars. Now we'll take questions at the end. Feel free as we go through to put your questions into the Q&A section. And then I will take a look at that after the presentation. And finally, all participants have been put into listen-only mode. So again, you'll have to use the Q&A section to get in touch. So agenda, we're going to do a brief introduction of who we are, who Hanwha is, and an overview of the Wisenet A series. We'll talk about the main features of the different components of the system, and then we'll talk about specs, detailed specs, any questions you might have, as well as accessories and mounting solutions for these products. So getting started. So the introduction for this new lineup, this is a new, easy to use, cost-effective solution designed for things like small to medium business, retail stores, anything where you need cost-conscious products. The solution is compatible with other Wisenet products, so you can mix and match these cameras and recorders, and they are also ONVIF compliant, so you can use these cameras with other systems. You can use other cameras with our system. With nothing is proprietary here. And this lineup does, it is a full end-to-end solution. So that means it has cameras, recorders, PC software, and mobile apps. All right, hopefully that video shared properly. Hopefully you were able to see it. Just a brief teaser for the A series. I'll show you again more details as we go through. So first and foremost, there's been a lot in the news lately about the FCC here in the US. So all of these products are FCC compliant. So you don't have to worry about that for safety, for security, for compliance purposes. In addition, all of our video products, video surveillance solutions are designed and engineered in Korea, and then we manufacture in South Korea and Vietnam. Like I said, FCC compliant, but they also are NDAA compliant. So anything using US federal dollars, including state and local government, these products are NDAA compliant. And like I said, everything's designed in-house. We have our own manufacturing facilities, our people, our facility. So we don't do any outsourcing. We don't do OEM or ODM. And so that talks about the power and performance of our products, as well as supply chain, which is an important issue in today's world. So moving on to main features here. So there's a couple components. So starting at the bottom, we have the Wisenet A series cameras. They are all PoE based cameras. We have a couple different form factors. We'll talk about them. And they can plug directly into the Wisenet A series NVRs, which have PoE ports built right into it. From the NVR in the middle, you can plug a monitor and mouse directly into it and use it as a standalone system. Or you can connect to it remotely using our PC software on the left, Wisenet Viewer. It's a free software to connect in and view and monitor your NVR. And on the right, we have our Wisenet mobile. That's our mobile app to, again, connect through the network to view remotely. Oh, whoops. Shucks. Sorry, I clicked a button and I think I messed up. Hopefully, was the audio coming through when it was playing? If someone can just put something into chat, maybe. Just want to make sure audio is coming through on the video. No audio. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Let me share some blah blah blah. It should be shared. Let me I'll just try that again. 1 second.
Hanwha TechWin's Wisenet A series, our most cost-effective, portable lineup for cameras and network camera. Reviewable and variety of both. Wisenet is support. Our backward compensation, providing clear image. Real-time lens distortion. Real-time awareness and how live stream to Russian technology. Live stream to
Yeah, I'll share a link for that. Sorry, I know sometimes on Zoom, the quality of audio, the video isn't always great, but hopefully shows us a little overview there. I will share that link shortly. Actually, let me see if I can get it right here so everyone can have it where they want it. 1 second. Let's see. I will grab that. Oops. It is right here. Copy link address. I will put this into the chat for everyone. Everyone, paste. Okay, and so there's that link. Hopefully everyone can see. So there are 12 new cameras that we released in this new lineup. All of the cameras have H.265 and our Ystream 2. That helps to save bandwidth and storage. They all have true wide dynamic range up to 120 dB. They all have intelligent video analytics, license free. We'll talk about which ones those are shortly. They all support hallway view mode for rotation. They all have the lens distortion correction feature, and they can all do up to 30 frames per second at the highest resolution in H.264 and or H.265. They all have built-in IR. They all have a 3-axis gimbal for easy rotation. We have we have this, what we call the compact flat eye on the left. Some people call that a turret. We have an outdoor vandal dome and bullet form factors. They all have a consistent user interface, so they all, work the same among each other. And it's a very similar interface, or it's the exact same interface for all of our other Wisenet cameras. So you don't need to learn something new just for the A series. All the cameras are now a white camera body style. So including the bullet, the turret, the dome, all of them are the same. And finally, as your systems grow, you can use the Wisenet Device Manager tool for bulk administration. You'll see how we've designed NVRs to kind of be your central hub for everything. So you can do a lot of the installation and configuration and changing of camera settings right from the NVR. But some people, if they're used to using Device Manager, that will all continue to work just fine here. So diving into some of the specific features, if you're not familiar with these of what we do here at Hanwha. So again, we have the H.265 codec that helps reduce your bandwidth and storage. And then on top of that, we have our Ystream 2, which looks at the activity, the pixel motion in the scene, and it compresses the background parts of the scene that doesn't have movement. It compresses that more, as well as changing the iframe interval for the H.264 and H.265. These are settings that need to be enabled, so they're turned off by default, but it can significantly lower your bandwidth and storage. Like I said, we have true wide dynamic range that's useful for backlit situations. So loading docks, doorways, entrances, anywhere where there's bright glass, or glass looking outside and it's bright during the day, and you have people inside and outside at the same time. Again, this is a feature that simply needs to be configured and turned on in the camera. In terms of analytics, typically we have standard motion detection. We also have tamper detection, virtual line crossing, entering and exiting an area, and defocus detection. I believe the defocus depends on the model. That's on the higher resolution models. You'll see that on the spec. So the intelligent video analytics for the virtual area, you can draw a zone, an area, and have an alert triggered when someone enters or exits that area. Through the camera and the NVR, you can set up event actions. So you can tell it, for example, certain days of the week, certain hours of the day, send a mobile push notification to your mobile app, for example. If you're using our Wisenet viewer software, you could configure it to pop up a camera on your monitor screen. And then we have our virtual line, where we can draw the line. You can choose one direction or the other or both, and say, hey, if someone crosses that line in a certain direction, that's an event, like entering via the exit. I mentioned hallway view mode. So depending on your camera installation, portrait versus landscape installation, pretty standard, but really useful when you have 16:9 aspect ratio cameras. So it's a two-step process. All you do is you physically rotate the lens on the camera. All of our cameras have an imager rotation, where you just grasp the lens and rotate in the right place. And then in the camera menu, you tell it 90, I'm sorry, you tell it, the 90 degrees, and it will, or 270, and then it reboots the camera, and now it's configured in that other format. Very useful. We also have lens distortion correction, or LDC, and that helps make cameras that have ultra wide angle lenses, which many of these cameras do. It gives it a more natural look. People who aren't used to using surveillance products every single day, so an end user might, they want to view a wide area, but they're not used to the look of it, where straight lines appear curved, just the way lenses can work. So this is a setting you can enable to help correct that and make it look more natural. And like I said, All of the cameras have 30 frames per second on H.264 and H.265. So you have smooth flowing video that you can watch from anywhere, on the monitor, the mobile app, on the viewer software, wherever you like. Um, Obviously, you don't have to be at 30 frames a second. If your specification, if your standard, is 15 frames a second, you can configure it for that however you want it to be. And then moving on to the NVR, some of its key specs. They have a 4K monitor output on some of the models so that you can plug in high resolution monitor and be able to view that multi-screen output, 16 cameras all at once and actually see really high resolution and detail of all of them out all at once. Obviously, the NVR supports 8.265, like I said, for better bandwidth and storage. And we have a P2P, very important new feature. We had this, but it's been updated for the solution. So P2P stands for peer-to-peer, and it's a way to connect remotely to a device like an NVR without needing to do port forwarding, without needing to do DDNS, without needing to do anything complex. You'll see more details on that shortly. Like I mentioned, we have our mobile app, we have our Wisenet viewer, and they all have built-in PoE switches. So a little bit more detail of each of them. Like I just showed, just repeating the same thing. So the HDMI out supports ultra high definition. Great. Moving on. The NVR has an installation wizard. So the first time you boot it up and connect up to the network or connect up to the monitor, it gives you a wizard. The step number 3 you'll see is username and password. So the unit, just like all of our other products, do not include a default password. You have to set that up the first time before you can use it. And it walks you through, it asks you questions, what language you want to use, your network, your IP addressing. Are you using a DHCP server or do you already have a DHCP server? What username and password do you want to use for your cameras? So if the cameras are already configured or if they're brand new, it can push a password to them. Things like date, time, time zone, daylight savings time, NTP servers, monitor resolution, and it goes through, then discovers your cameras, adds them in, and step number 9 tells you some information about how to easily connect your Wisenet viewer or your mobile app. So the P2P feature that I mentioned. So if you're using the mobile app on your phone, on your tablet, all you do is you're going to scan a QR code that's on the unit. That QR code will either be in the menu with the monitor and the mouse, or you can view it through the web browser interface, or you can take a picture of it, take a screenshot, whatever it might be. But all you do is you scan that QR code. That takes care of remote access. It connects up to a cloud server. The cloud server makes the handshaking through the cloud, but once that handshake is made, it's a direct connection from the NVR to your mobile app. So it's not routing your video through the cloud. So it still is secure and quick and easy. And again, most importantly is you don't need to do any type of port forwarding or anything else. And it's a free service built in. That we've had. The new piece is using our Wisenet viewer. That's our PC software. You'll see more about that shortly. It works on Windows and Mac OS machines. It's a CMS software, camera management software. It looks very similar to our Wave VMS. It's a fairly new software. I did a webinar a few months ago on that. It lets you view multiple NVRs. If they're on one site, multiple sites, doesn't matter. You can bring them all together and view live playback, exporting video, bookmarks, things like that. So what's new here is the Wisenet viewer also supports the P2P feature. And the way that works is there is a product ID. And it might be hard to see on the left-hand side here. The product ID, I think it's like a 9-digit code. And all you do is you go to Wisenet viewer, you say add device, you choose the P2P option, you type in that 9-digit code, you put in the username, you put in the password, and that's it. And it connects up through, excuse me, through the internet, and it works. When you're on site, it works. When you're off site, it works. It's great. And that really closed a gap that we had in our product lineup with our previous software, with our smart viewer that did not really know how to handle remote access without doing port forwarding. So big improvement there. And so just a couple pieces of information about the Wisenet viewer in case you're not familiar. So again, it's the PC viewer software for compatible NVRs and DVRs. It supports Windows and Mac. Very flexible in terms of viewing cameras, of how many cameras. You can kind of mix and match and view any number of cameras. You can have some cameras big, some small. You can create your own custom saved layouts. You're not limited to very specific patterns like our previous software was. It also has event action rules and management. So you can say, when this camera has this type of action, do the following. So it gives you some more powerful features. You can also display web pages right in the Wisenet viewer software, as well as playing back other media files in the utility. And I mentioned about the remote connection. Our cameras and NVRs were also designed for easy self-support. So right on the unit, the camera or the recorder, there's a QR code. On the boxes, there's a QR code, and you can scan that QR code, and it takes you to a landing page specifically for the A series. It gives you access to things like manuals, frequently asked questions, how-to guides, training videos, things like that, all from a central location. Okay, from there, we're going to talk about some of the detailed specs. Starting off with the cameras, you'll see on the left, we have 2 megapixel cameras, and on the right, we have 4 megapixel. Now, if you've used our 4 megapixel cameras in the past, like our older Q series cameras, these are updated in new models. So these are 16:9 aspect ratio. So they are newer imager types. You'll see on the left, we have 2 different fixed lens bullets. We have a 2.8 and a 4mm bullet, and then a 2.8mm fixed Vandal dome. On the right, we have 2.8 and 4mm bullets, and again, the 2.8mm 4 megapixel Vandal dome. You'll see it lists the field of view that you can view, so 113 or 84 degrees. For the 4 meg, it's a little bit different, 107 and 78 degrees. So again, still very wide angle lenses. Great low light performance. Obviously, these all do have IR. It shows the IR distance right here in the middle. So we can view 20, 25, or 30 feet of IR depending on the model. The outdoor models are IP66 rated. The Vandal domes are also IK10 rated. And you can see the temperature specs. Sorry, this is in Celsius, minus 30 to 55, and they are all PoE powered. Then on our second slide here, we also have some motorized varifocal cameras. So in the Bullet and Vandal dome, we have a 3.3 to 10.3 millimeter for the 2 megapixel. And then on the 4 meg, same thing, 3.3 to 10.3. They all have simple focus, so you can remotely adjust the zoom and focus. The IR range is, again, 20 or 30 meters, depending on the model. IP66 for all of them, and IK10 for the Vandal domes. We also have in the middle our flat eye, or the turret model, the ANE L6012R. So that's, again, that's a 2 megapixel or a 4 megapixel all the way on the right. Again, 2.8 millimeter fixed lens. So very nice new model there. Benefit of the flat eye or the turret, if you're new to that, is that you don't have a dome to have light reflecting if there's any scratches on the dome or anything like that. So generally you might have better IR performance, and the IRs are physically separated further away from the lens to help with that as well. And here, this is really just a reiteration. I'm not going to read through everything because you'll see it's all the same thing we just mentioned. But here you can see a little bit more up close and detailed of the what the form factor looks like. So the Vandal dome, you'll see, it's a metal dome cover. It's got a screw to keep it closed, a tamper screw. You have the high-powered surface mount IR LEDs around the lens of the camera. And you'll see that the 4-megapixel model has the defocus detection analytics. That's really the only real difference between the 2 meg and the 4 meg that you'll see here. And then we have the varifocal models. They're physically a little bit larger models, and they use a little bit more power as well. And then the turret or the flat eye, the ANE, that's what that looks like. And again, with this, the way this works, again, if you knew there's a ring, this ring comes off. And then when that comes off, you can then rotate the whole outer portion of the camera. The eyeball then, whoops, sorry about that. The eyeball then tilts and rotates. And then there's a screw that you can lock it into so it doesn't move on its own. And then you put this trim ring to cover the whole thing in place. So it's a very different style. It's a very compact, small, easy to use, easy to install form factor there. And the IR, you can't really see it here, but it's up in this band up here. So it's separate and sealed from the lens itself. And then the bullets, very simple, easy to use bullets. Again, 2.8 and 4 millimeter there. Again, the 2 megapixel and 4 megapixel, the fixed options. And then we have the varifocal models as well. And then moving on to the NVRs, we have 3 model NVRs, the ARN410S, the ARN810S, and the ARN1610S. So 4, 8, 16 channels. Now, in terms of channels, very important to note, if you were using things like a multi-sensor camera, those can use multiple channels. So if you have a 4-headed camera, that's going to use 4 channels. So be careful of that. These recorders support recording up to 8 megapixel cameras, so you can bring in other cameras from other of our lines. They support Sunapi, that's our own API, as well as OnVIF. They have an HDMI out. The ARN1610S, the 16 channel, has also a VGA output on there. They record 40, 60, or 80 megabits of throughput. They have 1 or 2 hard drives, so we can have up to 6 or 12 terabytes of storage, depending on the model. They support modern web browsers, so you can use the web browser for, basic, setting up the unit or basic viewing. Typically, we don't recommend doing your daily live viewing or playback and exporting through the web browser. We recommend using Wisenet Viewer. But we do support modern browsers, Chrome, Edge, and Safari on the Mac. The Wisenet Viewer, obviously the Wisenet Mobile works on Windows and Mac OS. We have the P2P. We talked about that. These are designed for indoor operations. They can go in a rack or tabletop mount. They include the power supply for the 410 and 810. 1610 just plugs right in with a standard power cord. And at the bottom, it shows how much power they can support: 35 watts, 65 watts, and 130 watts. So they're designed that if you plug in 4, 8, or 16 A series cameras, it can power all of them. If you're using other cameras, things like AI cameras or multi-sensor cameras, those might eat up a lot of power quickly. So just be careful to watch out for that. And then the final section here is about accessories. So we have a huge amount of accessories. I would recommend you always check our website or check our mounting tool on our website. That will show you can type in a model number and it'll show you what mates to what. Certain mounting caps are specific for the fixed lenses, and some of them are for the varifocal models because they're just slightly larger diameter cameras. So you need to choose the right one for that. The A and E series has their own hanging mounts, and we have some back boxes. We'll talk about that. So we have some really nice, pretty pictures here that kind of show what it looks like. Mounting the camera to a ceiling with the back box if you wanted, mounting it to a ceiling mount, pendant mount, as well as an in-ceiling mount option. Again, all of these are optional accessories if you needed to do that. Wall mount options. We can mount it directly to a wall or the back box. We do have a weather cap available to mount, protect it from sun glare. We do have a wall mount bracket to hang it down from a wall. Or we can use things like using our cap, going to our standard wall mount bracket, and/or then we have our installation base or installation box. So lots of options if you're familiar with our mounting methods. Pole mount, we can directly mount our back box to a pole. That's new. Typically when we do pole mount, we have to do what's on the right, where we have to use our cap and then a pole mount and then an adapter. So we have some new ways to do that, as well as the pole mount can make directly to the wall mount there. Yep, as you can see. So corner mount, again, same thing. We can take our corner mount adapter. We can have our back box go directly to that. Or we can put our wall mount, the new low cost, the SBP 137 WMW1 that you see on the middle left, that can go directly as well. On the right are kind of more of the standard methods that we've done for wall mount. I'm sorry, corner mount. And then parapet mount, if you needed, we have two different parapet mount options. And on the right, we also do have a smoke dome cover for some of the Vandal dome camera models. In terms of ceiling mount, this is now showing for some of the varifocal models. So the varifocal domes, you'll see it's the perfect size for the back box, whereas the previous one showing the fixed lens, the camera is a little bit smaller than the back box. So these next couple of pictures are just showing you, kind of what that will look like. They're very similar to what we previously saw. Just it's much more flush or uniform. And then moving on for the what we call the flat eye camera, you'll see again, we do have a back box if you need that. Often outdoor mounting, sometimes you need a place to stuff your cables and whatnot, so the back box can do that. If you need to mount it down a pendant, we have the ability, we have a cap for it, so we can drop that down. We can wall mount it, it goes to the wall mount bracket, or again, any of the traditional mounting options on the right. And then same thing, pole mounting, lots of options there as well. And corner mount. So again, there's lots of options to mix and match. I recommend always use our mount selection tool to validate, to verify any of that there. And then for the bullet camera, so the bullet is designed to go directly to a wall. Sometimes people want to have a back box to be able to, again, make their connection. So the bullet can go directly to the back box. The back box can then be pole mounted or corner mounted. And then finally, to wrap it up, where do I go for more information? So if you go to our website, hanwhasecurity.com, you go to products, and then you can choose by series. You can then select the Wisenet A series. And if you click the Learn More button, it'll take you on the bottom left to our Wisenet A-Series landing page. On that page, we have a ton of resources. We have about a dozen how-to videos. Those videos are also, you'll see on the right-hand side on our YouTube channel. We have an A-Series playlist. That playlist will walk you through how to set up the NVR for the first time, to run through that wizard, how to change camera settings, how to change NVR settings, how to set up the Wisenet viewer, how to use the mobile app. Everything's in there. The A-Series landing page also has a A-Series brochure, frequently asked questions, where to buy, lots of embedded videos are in there as well. And then from there, I'll take any questions. We are hoping to expand the A-Series lineup, and there's another camera model or two we're hoping to add in down the road. But that really kind of shows the overview of what this new series is. And from there, I'll take any questions anyone might have. And besides that, thanks for joining us. Yep.